Welcome everybody to the first movie discussion that we have done on the channel since Rise of Skywalker. It's been a long time. So a little background, since Tenet came out, Carlito and I have been going back and forth online. CarlitoClassico on Instagram is my guest today. We've been messaging back and forth because we both pre-ordered the 4K at the same time. He got to see it in the theaters. I didn't, so I was waiting for the 4K experience at home. And right away, I'm going to say this is a movie you have to watch more than once. And also, there is also the problem of this was made to be watched in theaters where you have no distractions. You can focus on it. Christopher Nolan was right, fighting for wanting it in the theaters. The timing it came out, but I understand Warner's dicks were in the dirt with how much basically they owed, because to break even was going to be $800 million, supposedly with marketing and everything. So a bit of insanity there. So just a little precursor, if you're watching the movie, you might need to watch it twice and just turn off your phone, get rid of all your distractions. Carlito, tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
Yeah, Dan, I was going to bring that up, but you brought it up, so that's awesome. A little bit about me, just kind of hanging out on holiday break, so not doing too much, but I really appreciate you having me on because I know how much you love movies. I watch you and Jen like all the time. I might not talk much in the chats, but yeah.
I've wanted to kind of stretch out and get back to movies. I was doing full edited videos with clips, and I kept getting hit with DMCA like takedown notices and like, hey, like we're gonna let you keep it up, but don't think about making money off of this. And the rules of what fair use was kept changing, so I just finally got tired of it and stopped. And then the live streaming started, and I was like, you know what, this might be the way to really have an honest discussion about a movie. And I think this is the movie to like literally have a real discussion about, because there is a lot going on. There's a lot of breadcrumbs being laid out in the movie. No better thing could they have released prior to this, because as soon as I saw that opera scene, the first 5 minutes of the movie when they showed, I think before Godzilla, King of the Monsters, I was like, I don't know what this movie is, but I have to fucking see it.
Yeah. And the funny thing was, like, that's the only movie I saw during the whole quarantine stuff. But it was after I watched Flicks and Comics, JoJo, her review. I was like, I have to go see this in theater. I was holding out, but I had to go. And I went in IMAX, and I'm so glad I did. There were only 3 other people in that theater, and it was way spread out. We all had masks, so that kind of sucked, but after like you said, that opening scene, I forgot all about it and was just sucked in. And the sound and the music and oh my god, just I feel like people are missing out that they don't get to see the theater, but I understand. Like, I'm not going to hold that against anybody, like, right now. But if it had been regular times and people weren't going, I'd be like, what the hell's wrong with you?
Christopher Nolan's one of those directors. He's one of the few, like, I know if he puts out a movie, it's strictly made for the theater experience. He's like that. James Cameron 100% is the theater experience guy. Denis Villeneuve, like Blade Runner. It's such a beautiful movie. And it's weird because, like, Avatar, I watched in the theaters. Great experience in the theater. Watched it at home. Could not even come near the experience I had in the theater. Maybe it's one of those movies you watch once and you just can't watch again.
I agree on Avatar, that's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, not Aliens. Aliens is a perfect fucking movie for me, but I mean, it's a whole other story. Ridley Scott, to a degree, some of his movies, I think, are like theater experiences. Not so much lately, like Covenant, I kind of regretted seeing in the theaters, but that's a whole other problem altogether.
Yeah.
So back to the movie at hand. So we get this opening scene, and John David Washington as the protagonist. This dude just has ice ice water in his veins. Like, just his character seems unbothered by everything. Like, just everything just always calm. And it almost reminded me at certain scenes of Denzel Washington in The Equalizer. How he's
just about that.
I mean, I've never in a fight scene seen someone use a cheese grater till that kitchen fight in this movie. And the Italian in me got so happy.
That was great. I love that. That kitchen fight scene, it reminded me of like a Jason Bourne moment, to be honest.
That or The Raid Redemption. If you ever watched that movie.
I have not.
If you like action movies that are just fucking nonstop, that is the movie for you. The only two movies of that series, unbelievable. Like, so fast-paced that you were like, wait, the movie's over? Holy shit.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's on my list. It's just a long list.
Yeah, they just put out a 2-pack on a Blu-ray for $20.
Yeah.
I didn't. Robert Pattinson's one of those guys that confuses me in his acting. I didn't think he really stood out in this, but I didn't think he was a detriment to it. He was just kind of reminded me of Tom Hardy in Inception a little bit, where he was there, but he wasn't a standout. Oh, John's Comics is here.
Oh boy, I thought John was streaming. What's he doing here?
This is a safe space, John.
John, I won't get upset. I got ice in my veins.
Again, the breadcrumbs they lay out in this movie. I've never seen Kenneth Branagh since Robin Hood play a bad guy. Oh no, it wasn't Robin Hood that he was in. What was the movie he was the bad guy in? Like, he was so arch in this movie.
It's been so long.
As Satyr, but man, he was just vicious as fuck in this movie. Okay, we were wondering.
Okay. Oh,
I come with the compliments.
I wanted to dress up for you, John. I knew you'd come in and tear me down, so I had to start way up.
So I will say this movie gets a little bit convoluted for its own good at certain points. But I mean, John David Washington, he carries this movie.
Oh yeah.
He carries it. Honestly, I hadn't really seen him in anything before this, so I was super, super impressed.
I saw, well, long story short, I saw him in half of that, I think it was Spike Lee movie, maybe.
Was it Black Klansman?
Yeah, Black Klansman. But someone was snoring in the theater and they wouldn't kick him out, so I left and I got a refund on my ticket.
Oh, that almost sounds like me seeing the first Matrix, where this dude sitting in front of me the whole movie. Every time a fight was about to break out, he snapped his hands. He was like, every fight. There's a lot of fights in that movie.
Oh boy.
It got to a point where I just started staring at him like, really? Come on, man. Like,
yeah, some people, I don't know. But yeah, like after this movie though, like obviously everybody was just destroyed from Chadwick Boseman passing away, and I know I'll probably take heat for this, but I don't care. I think they should recast Black Panther at some point, and if they did, I see John David Washington playing in my head.
So in the comics, they actually had kill. Oh God, I can't remember the name. The guy who oh my God, why am I blanking on his name? The one from Creed.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, but he became Black Panther at one point. It would be interesting to see the villain.
Yeah, but they died in the movie, so I don't.
Yeah.
Granted, it is comic books, so.
Yeah, it could be, Shuri for one movie, and then maybe they recast Killmonger. Thank you, John. Hey, thank you. You're my personal IMDb right now.
Oh, I thought you were going for the actor's name. Okay, yeah, Killmonger.
Well, the first thing I went for was the character's name, and then I was just like, why am I not? I weirdly went right to The Wire. I'm like, oh yeah, The Wire. That guy, kid, he started out in The Wire.
Love your shirt, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I'm a huge Carpenter fan.
Classic.
Michael B. Jordan. Jeez, thank you, John.
Yeah, Michael B. Jordan. There you go.
So going with things that you might have had a problem with the movie, was there anything that stood out to you that you're like, man, they could have done this a little bit better?
I'm gonna say as far as technically, no. There were a couple
Story wise, I'm
story wise. There were a couple things that bothered me, especially since granted, I am not an expert, but I'm just kind of a connoisseur of like philosophy and physics and stuff like that. The scene, and we're getting into spoilers, right?
Yeah, well, spoilers, everybody, just from this point on, just know we're going to talk about spoilers. There is no way to talk about, because I have a problem with the way the ending shook out.
There's no way to talk about it without spoiling it. So, okay, so spoilers from this point forward. All right. When he's in the car, when he goes back through the turnstile and that whole car chase scene, and
Yes.
Tater lights the fire and blows up the car. That's not how physics works. Like, yeah, I understand what, like, fire would feel cold or whatever to him, but it's not going to change the outcome of the explosion. So I don't understand how it just kind of iced the car and then he got out. Nah, I'm not buying that. That was my main gripe, and that's after watching it 4 times. So, but I mean, everybody makes mistakes, especially Hollywood. So
the pacing, it does. I thought the ending part with the exchange between Pattinson and the protagonist was a little bit weak.
Have you watched it twice now?
Twice now. I watched the second time today, where it just, after they had that exchange with the kid who, well, not kid anymore, the guy who was in Kick-Ass, where I sat there, I was like, wait, is that Aaron Taylor Johnson? Holy shit, he bulked up.
I didn't even know that was him the first time I saw it.
Yeah, where I was like, wait, what just happened? And I was like, I didn't pay attention. Shit. So then I, like, the second time I was like, okay, I get what just happened. But even that exchange, like, well, you're just meeting me now, but we're going to meet in the future. And I was like, oh boy, here's the paradox shit. Like, the head started spinning, and it just, the delivery just seems so unemotional, maybe, is why, like, it fell flat for me.
Yeah, and someone else who I won't name I was talking to about it also brought up that stuff. I'm not going to dog anybody for how they, like, feel about, because I got the complete opposite feeling. Like, I broke down. Even the first time I saw it.
But the part when they're about to go to Priya's place, when he's like, oh no, he gets a Diet Coke. Well, no, soda water. Goes, no. And he's like, I studied you. And it's like, okay, now this whole part makes sense.
Yeah, okay. That's fair. Well, the thing is, like, and I don't know if you've read or seen anything else since this, but I'm going to blow your mind here later, hopefully, with some theories. And these aren't my original theories, but some of the stuff that we're going to talk about, like, it did cross my mind. I'm like, well, wait a minute. And then I went down a YouTube rabbit hole of just, like, theories about the movie, and there was only 1 or 2 where I'm like, I really buy that. And then after watching it again today, I totally buy one of those theories.
But I can't talk about this movie without saying Nolan, technically, and even sonically, the movies, the way he does sound design and the way he sets up the shots are beautiful. Like, there's some of the times I'm like, okay, like, I kind of understand how they figured this shot out, especially when they're doing the whole backwards motion stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, I understand how they're doing it, but even then, it didn't seem jerky.
Nope. And that's what is so, I mean, one of the many things that I find so awesome about Nolan's movies is I'm not a huge fan of CGI. And I get really sick of Hollywood taking the easy way out and sometimes cheaper way out, not for Marvel, but for other movies, the cheaper way out of just saying, okay, green screen, we'll just splash stuff up here. That drives me nuts.
Oh, the Thing prequel was the one that drove me nuts, where they hired practical effects people, and they're like, oh, fuck it, we'll do CGI.
Ugh. See, I didn't even know that. I haven't seen that yet, though. So, not worth my time.
Don't do it.
All right. But, yeah, the practical effects in this. And then in Dunkirk and just all of his movies are just
Inception,
amazing.
the behind the scenes of how they did like the city moving and stuff.
Oh yeah,
it's incredible. And like, I love big thinkers like him, where you have these moments where he's like, I'm gonna blow your fucking mind. Like, even as far back as Memento, the breadcrumbs they leave throughout that whole movie. And by the time you get to the end, you're like, holy shit. And like, seeing how he built from that moment, and then even Insomnia, and then, you know, gets hired like to do Batman Begins. And I remember when he got hired to do that, I was like, well, that's interesting. Okay, we're gonna get a dark take, because I remember Darren Aronofsky they tried to hire before him. Which
I like Darren, some of his older stuff. Like, I like that oh man,
what was the
Fountain?
The Fountain, yes.
I love that
movie.
movie.
Oh, beautiful movie.
Love that movie. And that has like personal meaning too for me, but like, yeah, after, I can't remember what the other couple of movies he did after, but I don't know, he kind of dropped off for me. But Nolan, for me, like, he just keeps raising the bar. But yeah, I mean, there's some legit general audience gripes out there. But I'm not going to discount them.
It's too highbrow for some audience. Like,
yeah.
So, John, I'm going to kind of go in on you here on Dark Knight. I have a personal gripe with that movie that keeps it from being perfect. The Two-Face part. They could have completely cut that as him going hospitalized and saved that for the third movie. I felt that last Two-Face part made it go a little too long. That's my own like little gripe with it. I mean, I love the movie. I mean, Ledger's performance is fantastic.
And I'll be the first to admit, when I heard he was cast,
I was wrong.
I just moved to Chicago. I was so wrong. I was like, the guy from Brokeback Mountain, are you effing kidding me? Get out of here. Like, I was just not down with it. And then I saw it and I was just like, holy crap.
As soon as he did that magic trick with the pencil on Spawn's head, God. I was just like, all right, like, this is fucked up and I'm in.
Yeah. And I remember seeing like some leaked YouTube footage that people were taking in Chicago and like from their penthouses or from their like apartments and stuff. And like, I was like, oh, I guess maybe this will be interesting, but I'm still not down with the Joker. And then I saw it and I was just like blown away.
Well, even that IMAX pre-release they showed where it was the bank heist.
Yeah.
Fucking brilliant to release that part. Although the whole plane escape part with Bane that they released before the Dark Knight Rises, it's a mess. But Tom Hardy's performance really grew on me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I agree. And it's unfortunate because I think Nolan had a plan for having Ledger come back in the third act. And obviously they could.
Yeah.
So.
So in this movie, Rob Pattinson, he's doing everything in his power to get as far away from Twilight and that whole saga. If anybody's watched The Lighthouse, that is psychological horror, and it is fucked up, and Willem Dafoe and him like beat the shit out of each other and get drunk. It is like a phenomenal movie that you really have to be in the mood to watch, unfortunately, which there's a lot of movies like that. Like, I know we had discussed The Witch.
Oof. Man,
it's a slow ass movie, but I really like learned to appreciate Anna Taylor-Joy.
Oh, she's amazing. I'm not going to deny that.
And
I don't have a problem with her at all.
And getting completely off track, like in Split, James McAvoy not getting nominated for anything, and he fucking improv'd half that shit with all those personalities. I mean, it's M. Night Shyamalan. He'll never win anything, but like, I was impressed with his ability to switch characters and to be able to improv that stuff.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Okay, so back to this movie. Like, Kenneth Branagh is like so arching here, and once you get to him, that part where he's like, well, I'm going to cut your balls off and shove them down your throat, because it's really interesting to see a guy trying to pull his balls out of his throat as he's dying. Like, if ever there's a line, and then there's
man.
Do you
Yeah,
like
dude,
opera? He's like, wait, what?
Yeah, and I literally just watched that like I got done 20 minutes ago, and I mean, he sells out that role, man. He's all in on it, and I believe him. Like when he says that, it's not like a hammy line, that someone else could deliver. It's like, I think this guy's a little crazy, but
He was so close to like almost pulling off a what was the villain's name from Die Hard?
oh, Hans Gruber.
Hans Gruber. He was like really, really close to getting to like Gruber Arch.
So close.
And I can appreciate that. And Kenneth Branagh like doesn't really get those roles often where he gets to like just be like batshit insane.
Right. I think the last thing I saw him in was Dunkirk, which he was like a hero basically. So
Gary Oldman, The Professional, was the closest to like batshit crazy. Like
so good. So good.
The scene where they break into Priya's, I thought was like really, really like insanely cool of how they're getting, and it kind of reminded me of Dark Knight when he goes to get inside the building.
Oh yeah. I just want to say I like this right now because I like wrote a book of notes, but we're just like talking about it, which is what I prefer anyway, instead of like having to go, okay, well, so this is awesome.
John or anybody else in the chat, if you want to like chime in parts that you liked or other issues, like
we can leave John out of this one.
I'll talk about it. Oh, like there's certain things like if he ever does an episode on Rian Johnson, I think I need to be in on that because like Rian Johnson is one of those hero villains for me because his indie stuff is phenomenal.
Yeah. He's a mixed bag for me, man. Some of his stuff lands and then his other stuff, yeah, so I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. So the pacing of this movie, as John said, can be kind of hot cold.
I think the first time you see it, it's overwhelming.
Like very much so.
Right out the gate, like it's boom. And I think that's intentional. And honestly, and I'm not the first one to say this either, but I watched a great video which I sent to John and he disagreed, of course. But, this guy was saying how like he thinks this movie is ahead of its time and eventually over time it's going to be a lot more well received. I totally agree. The more I watch that movie, the more I find stuff that I appreciate and the more I understand it and the more I can relate to the characters. And I think, John and, other people have said that some of the lack of character development was a problem for them, which that's legit. But I feel if he would have added that on to what happened, like it would have been so convoluted that everybody just would have hated it. So I think he had to sacrifice there to kind of get his point across. But
I think naming your main character the protagonist, like I was just like, all right, like this very much reminds me, especially in the car with Priya at the end, where he's like, well, I'm the protagonist. I hired you to tie up the loose ends. I was like, right. Oh my God, this is like Planetary by Warren Ellis, where, Elijah Snow finally realizes, wait, I'm the fourth man. Like, I own all you motherfuckers.
Yeah, I like it. Hey, thanks, Judah.
Thank you, Judah. He's from the I Freaking Love Comics channel.
Nice. I'm about to follow him on Instagram too, or?
Yeah, they're on Instagram and YouTube.
Yeah, so, God.
This movie, I can see why people think this movie is pretentious, though.
Yeah, the first time I saw it, I could kind of see that. But then once I saw it on sequential viewings, like, I really don't see that anymore. So that's another reason why I think it's going to age better. But, I don't know.
I did watch Inception because you rewatched it, and my rankings is pretty much set, except for
I had to rewatch that one because I think it's been almost a decade since I've seen it, and
I bought the 4K version just to see how upscaled it looked.
Nice. Is it good or?
Oh, it's nice. I mean, they up the sound to 7.1.
And see, that's another thing that lacks on this Tenet release, which I don't think a lot of people realize is
It should have had 7.1.
it's 5.1 mastered. That's garbage in my opinion. It should have had at least a 7.1 and IMAX. Oh, like so. I will say that was my first complaint of the movie. The first time I saw it was some of the dialogue, of course, like Nolan's movies, was kind of muffled, and you couldn't hear it during the action, during the music and stuff. But at the same time, I'm kind of used to that because, as John says, I'm a quote unquote Nolan fanboy. So it didn't bother me, but I could see how it kind of bothered other people. But since it's been released on home video, I have not had that issue. So
when I just watch it without the stereo surround, I have no issue hearing anything.
Yeah, and I think maybe that was why they did a 5.1 instead of
that could be
7.1. I don't know.
I have no apologies. I'm like a John Carpenter fanboy, obviously. Like, The Thing, I think, is one of the most masterful films ever made. The practical effects.
I was like 7 when I saw that the first time. I don't really remember.
I got into a horrible argument with a girl I was in a relationship with because she hated the end of The Thing, but she thought the Inception ending was brilliant. I was like, it's the same fucking thing. It's a choose your own adventure ending.
Well,
you decide.
I disagree. I think there's only one ending to Inception, but we can talk about that later.
We'll get there in the rankings because
yeah.
I could go either way with that ending, and it's whatever my brain chooses that day.
And I used to think there was multiple ways, but now I'm pretty convinced there's just one. So, hey Judah, that's cool, man. Like, it's not your mediocre brain; it's Nolan's huge brain, and he worked on the script for like 10 years for Tenet. So that's why it's hard to kind of grasp all the little and huge stuff. There's
breadcrumbs he spread, especially with Pattinson's character, where you're like, he keeps dropping things here and there.
Oh yeah,
the top wobbles, but it doesn't fall.
Cause and effect.
Yeah, like it's one of those things where you just sit there and you're like, because I remember sitting there and I sat for 5 minutes after that movie ended. I was like, all right, like there's no after credit. I know that, like, that's not a thing Nolan does.
Right.
So with this movie in particular, like the fight scenes I thought were pretty interesting. Because like you said, it was kind of a little bit of like Jason Bourne, where it was like gritty, it wasn't polished. Especially the kitchen fight. The kitchen fight in particular, and then the one at the airport.
God, that airport. Man. That's like a central point in the whole plot if you think about it. So yeah, that airport is just awesome.
Oregon, like I totally understand. Like this is one of those movies where like hearing enough people go, I don't get it. It's kind of convoluted.
I get that.
If it comes on cable or like just basic like whatever, HBO Max will probably have it eventually if you've got it. Give it a watch, but like if you watch it, I had to do it today. I had to turn my phone off and like literally turn everything off around me so I could pay attention and not get distracted.
And I think you hit that dead on. That's a major key for people watching at home. Like there's just so much other stuff going on and you can't really focus on it, which I'm not saying everybody is having that happen, but it seems like more or less a lot of people are like, oh, I couldn't really focus on it, and I'm just like, okay, which sucks. But I mean, at the same time, like John and other people, I think would probably say is if a movie's good enough, it should overcome those boundaries. And I think this movie is, but I can see why some people don't agree.
Definitely both airplane scenes, and even that last battle where they were going to steal the oh god, what the hell was it called?
The algorithm?
The algorithm. Like just the way things were moving backwards and forwards at the same time, like hard to focus, but incredible.
And this last time that I watched it, like I tried to not focus on the protagonist and Neil and Kat and Sador, and I focused on the background. and what was happening behind them and the little Easter eggs that he lays around there. And it gives you a really interesting view when you do that. It's so weird. That's why I think this movie's genius. I'm not saying it's my favorite movie or even my favorite Nolan movie, but I think it's just going to get better with time. I really do.
Oregon, the only thing I can say, there's no problem watching Airplane. You ever sit in a grown man's lap, naked Billy?
Yeah, no problem at all.
You like gladiator movies? I heard the term shish kebab describe the algorithm.
And I think actually it's not a popcorn movie. Like, you can't just turn off your brain. However, I do think it's kind of in between. I think if you like action spy stuff, you can also enjoy this movie. And that's the other point I kind of wanted to drop was, especially to John, he's like, oh, it's so cold and non-emotional. And I'm just like, oh, man, you're missing it. But anyway, so they're saving the world. And these are professionals. And they can't really get all emotional, and it'll throw the whole thing. It'll just destroy everything. So they have to be professional about it. And I think that's a point that's kind of missed on some people. And honestly, looking back, especially the fourth time, I think this movie is kind of a love letter to spies and people who are in the military or whatever, who defuse and stop bombs before going off that nobody knows about. And that's how I see it. I mean,
you mean not like Hurt Locker, where it was just like Jeremy Renner's bored and is like, I gotta go back, fuck this family stuff. Like,
right. And that brings up the point of like the dialogue that Robert Pattinson delivers at the end of the film. That the first time I saw it, I didn't really understand who was saying it, and it didn't really land. But by golly, the second time through the fourth time, the whole nobody cares about the bomb that didn't go off. They only care about the one that did. And even if they did know, they still wouldn't care. Like, that just like hit so home for me, and just gives me the chills. And yeah, and the other thing was at the end when the protagonist kills Priya, if he hadn't had done that, then one of my theories wouldn't have been true. Or one of the theories that I definitely bought into, which I've talked to John about. So I'm going to go ahead and drop it right now, even though we're kind of mid-movie. Neil is actually Kat's son.
I mean, this is no worse than my theory about Demolition Man. I have a real fucked up Demolition Man thing where...
I want to hear that.
Okay, so Huxley talks about how her dad, like, she hadn't seen, and she basically was, like, raised by her mother. In the time frame of when he was frozen and how old she was, I think he old boyed his daughter. Just throwing it out there, like, it's fucked up. Like,
holy crap! I didn't even think about that.
You know, he's eating rat, getting high on it. Like, you know, Dennis Leary's down there just doing his shtick.
Holy crap! All right.
Oh, like
yeah, that's what I've heard, Judah.
I've also heard the other movie, the Zero Dark 30, too. Like, some people were like, no. That's not how that shit happens.
Yeah. Zero Dark 30 was just, it was all right. It was way too long, though, in my opinion. Way
very long.
About halfway through, I was like, God, it's got to be over. And then I look, and it's got like an hour and a half left. I'm like,
I still want to know what the 3 seashells are. Like, I don't know.
What are the 3 seashells?
No one showed me.
I still want to know how the algorithm works. But
100% Prestige.
Oh yeah, Prestige is great.
I mean the actors they had in that fucking movie.
It was amazing.
It was incredible. David Bowie's playing freaking Tesla. Like,
it's been, God dang, I really wanted to rewatch that. But
I rewatched it recently. I just Jackman and Bale, and then the twists and everything.
So good, yeah.
And I really think it's a movie that people don't pay enough attention to. I do remember this came out, and the Illusionist movie with Ed Norton came out at the same time.
Oh yeah, but I mean, come on, which one's better?
Hey, Flicks and Comics, how are you? Thanks for joining us.
JoJo, we were talking about you at the beginning. It's all your fault. I risked the virus to go see Tenet, but I'm so glad I did. And yeah.
I'm sad I didn't get to see it in the theater, and I'm even more sad that when I got it home, it wasn't 7.1 on 4K.
God. Yeah, I don't know. That 5.1, honestly, I think probably, yeah, they must have done it just so the dialogue wasn't drowned out at home. I don't know why else you would do that. But.
While we're on the subject of cinema here, like, thoughts on WB dumping their slate onto HBO Max? Like, I understand it now. Like, I totally understand it. Especially, I don't see things getting normal anytime soon.
Yeah.
But, like, the Dune director now, like, I'm going to sue. I'm getting the Directors Guild to sue. I'm getting Christopher Nolan to join us, and James Gunn.
They're going to sue?
Yes, they're getting, because they felt that they went behind their back and didn't work. He found out on Twitter that they were putting it on HBO Max.
They're not putting Dune on HBO Max, are they?
They are.
Oof. I wouldn't want to see it on at home, but that's just me. I mean, hopefully.
I'll take it how I can get it. Like,
yeah. I still need to read that book first, though. So.
People were expecting the box office bonuses. I know they said basically they're like, Legendary is like, okay, whoever wants Kong versus Godzilla, give us $250 million.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. That covers basically at least most of their costs.
While we're on that subject of releasing online, I think like a lot of people gave Nolan guff for wanting to keep it in theaters and not release it online, as far as Tenet goes. But after seeing it 4 times, I'm with him on that because of why everybody's reacting on it, seeing it at home for the first time, because it's just not the same. And I understand that. It's more of a creative thing. I don't think he cares about the money. He's got millions upon millions of dollars. He doesn't care about that part. I think it's more of a creative thing for him and how much he put into it for putting it in the theaters. Which
the weird thing, if it didn't come out in theaters and they just put it blindly out on 4K Blu-ray, yeah, I would have bought it blindly. I know.
I don't know. Yeah, I might have.
As Nolan, I would have taken the chance. I've bought worse movies.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know if I would have went for the Steelbook, but
I mean, for fuck's sake, I have the sequel to The Room with Tommy Wiseau, like his second
sequel
movie.
To that?
Well, it's not the sequel, but it's him and Greg in it. Okay. It's called Best Fiends or Friends.
Yeah,
I bought it. I'm just like, why the fuck did I do this?
I
own it now.
The first time I saw that, it was unexpectedly the most funny, worst movie I've ever seen in my life. Like the worst, but the funniest movie I've ever seen in my life. Me and my friends laughed so hard, like I couldn't even contain myself.
The Death of Theatrical Lease. I don't think it's the death, but I think
nah.
The smaller movie that's gone. It's only
probably your art house stuff. I mean, obviously New York and Chicago and LA will still have.
Yeah, but Netflix,
across the country,
Hulu, they're probably gonna end up buying those. Apple, probably looking for content, will buy up some of those.
Yeah.
And it's sad because there's little releases, especially in the horror. I think that's done. Except for your tentpole movies like Scream, Halloween, Friday the 13th, the big 5 or so, like those will come out in theaters. But as far as like the little ones that ended up getting big, like Saw,
yeah, you're probably right.
Conjuring probably would never have come out in the theaters.
Honestly, though, I'm gonna say my experience with general audiences in the theaters the last few years has been horrendous at best. And I usually tend to go, or at least when it was still a mainstream thing, I would go only Monday through Thursday and try to do matinees if I could, because the general audience just treats the theater like it's their living room, and it drives me insane. And they're on their phones, and they bring their blankets, and they got purses full of food, and it drives me nuts.
The most aggressive audience I was in, where like everybody was just getting pissed off and upset, was A Quiet Place, because anybody just even munching popcorn, you heard, and everybody would like turn their heads.
See, I got lucky on that one because I thought it would be like that. I'm like, how's this going to work? Everybody's going to be talking. It's going to be horrible. But as soon as it got to like the intense moments, everybody just went dead silent. But I think I got lucky and I saw it with a group of diehard like horror movie fans at a perfect time. So it wasn't like the general audience people. It was before all the hype and stuff. So I got lucky there.
I didn't have Rise of Skywalker, like the booing, except for like
I didn't have that.
My
either.
friend almost threw her drink when Kylo and Rey kissed. She was like, "What the fuck?" And like angry. Although like Endgame for Avengers, there were people like weeping and just like sobbing, and I was like, "All right, well, this is, I guess, what it's gonna be."
Well, the positives on Endgame were like when Cap picked up the hammer and everybody's cheering and stuff like that. But yeah, there's some really diehards that kind of.
Yeah, when that happens, like just this girl next to me just started sobbing, and I was like,
"Never, right. JoJo, never. The more you ask, the more I rebel."
Funny enough, Read Across the Stars just started her channel, and she will be starting to do live videos soon. Threw my popcorn at the ending in Tatooine. You know what? Like, I kind of had that when she buried the shit. I was like, really? Like, you taking the name Skywalker even though you're a Palpatine?
So did you like Rise of Skywalker or no?
I didn't hate it like some others did, but I had some real problems. But they were like on the water planet with that Imperial Star Destroyer that was crashed. Like all that cinematography in the background was beautiful. That whole fight scene with the waves crashing. There's great set pieces. I wish it had been better written.
Yeah, I didn't think it was amazing, but I didn't hate it like some people.
But I didn't hate Last Jedi like people did. I mean, it took some chances I didn't really agree with. I would have preferred if the ending of it was a cliffhanger where it was Luke with the lightsaber with all the Imperial walkers walking towards him, and they just ended like a spaghetti western.
That would have been cool. Yeah, I'm with you. Like, actually, though, the first time I saw Last Jedi, I hated it. I wanted to walk out. I hated it so bad. I hated the whole part with Finn and what's her name on the. Like, this could have been all cut out. This could have been all cut out, or at least trimmed down to like 2 minutes. Why are we? This is a waste of time. I just felt so. But yeah, like the second time, I gave it a second chance. Second time around, it wasn't as bad. Like I enjoyed a lot of parts of it. But yeah, it's the same. Like for Rise, I don't know.
I would have been down if Jar Jar had.
I used to think that, JoJo. I don't blame you.
If Jar Jar had ended up being the Dark Lord, I think that would have been the best.
Oh my god!
Just George Lucas, like yes.
I would say Last Jedi is like at the end of my Star Wars list for sure, but it's not the very last one, but towards the bottom half.
Yeah, having different directors and writers for each movie was a problem. Like, it was a huge problem. I mean, like basically, The Force Awakens was basically like, hey, remember all those things you like? Here you go.
So yeah, what were we talking about?
Sorry.
Was it Tenet? Is that what we're here for?
Yeah.
Oh.
So there was 3, in my opinion, great set pieces.
By the way, real quick, hey John, can you look up who the cinematographer was on Tenet or somebody?
I've actually got.
Oh my god, like it's hard to pay attention the first couple of times, but the fourth time, like, wow, like that cinematography was just amazing.
Cast and crew cinematographer Hoyt van Hoytema.
Interesting.
That is a hell of a name.
JoJo, I did like Rise better than Last Jedi. I will say that. So I know I'm going to get a lot of unfollows and unsubscribes for that. I don't care.
I do have a Nolan movie I hated. Like, hated.
Hated? Like, hated?
I despised Interstellar. I fucking hate that movie. McConaughey, that part where he's crying watching the video, I was like, oh, come on, dude. Like, just, you could do better. Uh-oh. Okay, there you go. Yeah, like...
I thought about leaving after you said that.
Oh. McConaughey in that I did not think was good. I was all in on McConaissance after... after True Detective.
Did you watch season 2 of that? I've only seen the first season. So.
It's bad.
Yeah. I haven't heard anything great, so.
It was not good. Not at all. I was surprised Nolan didn't have Cillian Murphy in this.
Yeah. Basically everybody else. Well, he didn't have Marion Cotillard either.
No, because I kept looking for him. I was like, all right, I know Cillian Murphy's going to show up here somewhere.
At some point.
Which, if anybody hasn't watched, what was it? The movie with the girl from Mean Girls, Red Eye.
I've not seen that.
Oh, Red Eye is a great horror suspense movie with him in it. It's a great Wes Craven movie, but Cillian Murphy in it.
Wes Craven?
Yes, Cillian Murphy's fucking scary as fuck in that movie. Like he is a creep, and Sunshine also. If anybody hasn't seen that,
I love Wes Craven. I thought I'd seen all his films, but apparently
he did is like Cillian Murphy and Rachel McAdams, where they're on a plane together, and her father is part of this business, and he's basically like, "Listen, if you don't take care of this stuff, I'm going to kill you, and I'm going to kill him."
Oh, I think I saw the trailer for that and then lost interest.
Yeah, like he is like scary, and then right after that, he became Professor Jonathan Crane, the Scarecrow.
Yeah.
Which an interesting take on him with, you want to see my mask? So there's 2 airport parts here of the fights. The kitchen fight I thought was like impressive. I love that kind of fighting, and again, a cheese grater used as a weapon, I'm in. Like,
yeah,
it's so dumb, and I'm just like, I honed in on that one part. I was like, yes. Ever since I was a kid watching my grandmother, like, you know, do mozzarella and stuff on, I was like, please, it's a weapon, it'll kill somebody, and like right across the guy's face.
It's funny you mentioned that, because this last time I watched it today, that's what I was focused on the whole fight. Was the cheese grater. I'm just like, that's so
and then
cool.
He lackadaisically throwing plates at the guy. I was like, all right, come on, man. Like, I know you're calm and cool, like, with this stuff. Again, like, the end, like, Aaron Taylor Johnson, like, that surprised me when I looked up on IMDb. It's like, who is that guy? Like, they keep he's got a big beard. I was like, wait, he bulked up, Jesus.
Yeah. And, he is a character that I've grown to appreciate more after subsequent viewings. Like, in this 4th viewing, I tried hard to see if he was in the background or somewhere, especially in the opera scene. And I'll send you a screen capture I took later, but like, I think he's at the opera.
Well, when Neil's like, oh, do you need someone to get that door open? He's like, well, yeah, you're one of the best.
Yeah, yeah.
And he throws the stuff. He's like, well, how hard are you going to look? He's like, I won't stop. I'm like, okay, like.
So, Yeah, I wanted to ask your opinion before I start diving deep on all that, but like, as far as the dialogue at the end, well, actually, before we get to that, I want to make a couple points to kind of bulk up the theory on Neil being Kat's son. Just kind of real quick. I know there's like a video on YouTube, but it's like 18 minutes long, so I'm not going to do that. But and then also, I just recently read one online that someone thinks that that scientist that the protagonist meets is actually the scientist
Who
that creates or invents the algorithm, but doesn't know it yet. Isn't that just blows your mind? But anyway, so yeah, when Neil first meets the protagonist, at least in our viewing, our timeline, he asks, "Would you take a child hostage?" And he's like, "No." And then he's like, "How about a woman?" He's like, "If I had to." I think Neil's looking out for him and Kat before he gets into all of this to kind of get like an idea. And then also, which I can't vouch for this was in the video rabbit hole I went down, but apparently his accent is the same as Kat's, or his dialect from the accent, British accent, is the same area in England, which it all just sounds British to me pretty much. I can't really hone in on many differences. There's some areas, obviously, like Michael Caine has a way different tone to his accent, but so that's interesting. And then also he mentions that he speaks Estonian, and that's one of the hardest languages for English-speaking people to learn, and it's pretty rare. And that's what Sador spoke. So I'm like, that makes sense as a kid he would learn that.
I just saw the most batshit theory just looking on Google right now.
Uh-oh.
Neil and the female scientist are Cobb's children from Inception. And I'm just like, whoa, no.
Whoa, that would be mind-blowing, though.
Yeah, like, I was just, like, flipping through. I was like, wait. And then it's like, what if we have multiple Michael Caines? I was like, stop. No.
Oh, there was I did see a theory that Michael Caine was the older Neil, which that was debunked. I can't remember exactly how, but at first I was like, maybe, but then I saw it a couple more times and I'm like, no, that doesn't work. But then also, like, so one of the things I wanted to address during this, if I may, is that one of the big criticisms I've seen of this Neil is Kat's son theory is that, well, when she gets shot, he doesn't seem to care too much. And he doesn't seem to, like, really want to save her and her safety and blah, blah, blah. Well, my argument to that after watching it a fourth time is he doesn't seem to care because he knows that she lives. What's happened has happened. So he's not worried about it.
Doesn't he, like, transfuse blood into her, too?
No. Well, no.
Okay, I thought I saw his arm up, but maybe that
was... He gives her, which is another good point, though, that you caught that. He gives her a couple shots when they're inverted, and that's basically just to knock her out and keep her out and safe the whole time. It doesn't really do anything. It's just to ease her pain and kind of keep her asleep. So, but yeah, that's the thing that I noticed that I thought was that it's not because he doesn't care or he's detached or doesn't have feelings for us, because he's from the future. So he knows that she lives. So what's happened has happened. And like, if you think of it that way, it makes total sense. Total sense. And then also the video I watched brought this up, which I don't know. I kind of picked up, but it's like one of those things where it's a reach. Neil dresses very well, kind of like his mom. I guess, whatever. But another thing was, well, he had a master's in physics, and he tries to explain to Kat, what's going on. But then at the end that we were talking about before this was, he says, it's after Neil sees takes off the mask and sees that it's the protagonist. And they're sitting there talking, having a drink of water or whatever. And the protagonist is like, when we're done, we'll kill you. And then Neil's like, I'd rather it be my decision, I think. But then he's also like, I've seen so much, I'm surprised you haven't killed me. I'm still alive. So, like, that whole thing was like, okay, they obviously know each other. And it's a closed loop. It's just,
There's
it's
also
hard to explain. I'm not very good at articulating, but I'm going to try.
I will draw a line to what you're saying also with, so the protagonist still hasn't met Max or Neil. He's been in the distance and actually hasn't actually been close to him.
From our point of view, it starts at the opera. And
but no, the kid Max. Cat's son. He
doesn't meet the kid Max until after he saves Cat's life.
So that's why I'm saying we haven't met yet.
Right. Yeah, and that's what Neil says. He said at the end, he's like, you know, you have a future in the past for me, but for you, it's your future. So, like, Neil's already been through it, but the protagonist is just starting.
So if you draw the line of, like, the protagonist has an interest in Cat, like we've seen this now.
Right. So, and had he not had an interest in Cat,
Priya would have killed her.
He might not have saved the world. Priya would have killed her. Neil might not have ever met the protagonist, so it might have just ended. So there's kind of like a lot of things going on to think about that. I don't know. It's mind-blowing, but I love it. I love that every time I watch it, I get to think about something else.
What would you give your rating on it out of 5?
I think I already posted it. I think I gave it a 4.8 out of 5 and a 9.6 out of 10. Usually on the stupid rating things, I just double the out of 5. It's like, you know, it's just numbers. But, you know, that's just for slight lack of emotional attachment the first time seeing it. And then, you know, a couple minor flaws. But, like, yeah, other than that, like, this movie just keeps getting better and better every time I watch it.
'Cause I'm sitting somewhere about a 3.54. Like, definitely I was in the 3.5 first time I saw it because I was just like, I'm missing something. I don't know what I'm missing, though. But I missed something here.
That's fair. I think the first time I saw it, I was like a 4. So I definitely moved up.
You know, somewhere in like 7.5, I'd say now, if out of 10. Now let's go to the rankings, because what would be your number 5 in the ranking?
My number 5, let me make sure, because I didn't write this down, but I know it off the top of my head. So my number 5, I believe, is Inception. This is where John and I like disagree. Yeah, and I mean, it definitely moved up the second time I saw it, but it's still, besides the part where Ariadne finds out about Maul and that whole emotional scene and the ending, like, it just felt really cold to me. Like, I didn't, like, the action stuff was good, the pacing is great, and then, like, he throws visuals at you, like, they're so amazing. But to me, it felt more detached than Tenet. So that's why I put it at
5. So my 5th, and this is where I'm going to get in trouble, Batman Begins.
I don't see why you get in trouble for that.
It's where the rest of the list falls. Yeah. For me, like, after that Schumacher bullshit, for this movie to come out just so serious and, like, the French Connection, like, this to me was just brought it back for me, and I find it to be just a very good movie overall, just solid. There's some moments that are kind of cheesy in it, but having Michael Caine be Alfred was just brilliant casting, and the back and forth between them. And then you get Liam Neeson, the god of dad action movies, in this.
For sure. I don't disagree. I don't think that's controversial. I think that's a good pick.
What's your number 4?
I thought we were doing Batman movies separate though.
I had to change it up because I was like, because I know what the order would be.
All right. Damn it, that kind of screws up mine.
I mean, we could still do it because I mean.
No, it doesn't. No, I just got to swap one, which I'm sure people bitch about, but whatever.
Yep, you're number 4.
Number 4 is Dunkirk.
I'm the same on that one. Visually and technically and sound design, fucking brilliant.
And that's one that I saw twice in IMAX because that was pre-virus crap. So like, yeah, I walked down there, the IMAX theater, saw it once, and then like 2 days later, I'm like, hey, you haven't seen it yet? Let's go. I went back again because I loved it. So my friend didn't really like it so much. He's kind of like John. Like he thought it was a little emotionally detached, and he didn't like the non-linear format. But
it was a little slow. It was a little slow, but like I can go and appreciate the artistry in it too, and it was a beautiful movie. Did you see that in
IMAX?
I did.
Oh my god, that along with Interstellar and actually no, Tenet is good in IMAX, but it still doesn't hold up to those two, in my opinion.
Yeah, I felt like those were specifically designed for IMAX. Like it was just. Yeah. What's your number 3?
My number 3. Well, that changed now because with Batman, I'm going to put The Dark Knight. I think and it was already voted the best comic book movie of all time the other day on Twitter, so you know it's fact. But also like
Twitter where facts live.
Exactly. No, but also like it's just oh my god, it's so classic. And for me, like everybody else is, they love it too. But I have the added bonus of like it came out right after I moved to Chicago. I didn't really know too many people there. I went and saw it the most times I've ever seen a movie in my life. It beat Jurassic Park. And like I would say half of those times at least, I went by myself. It was just, that movie just enveloped me. But yeah, it has a nostalgia factor and everything for me. So yeah, Dark Knight, definitely easy number 3. I could have put it in the top 2, but there's one that's super hot right now that I like a lot more, and then there's another one that's personally more meaningful to me. So
I am The Prestige at number 3.
Nice.
Between the acting, the twists, again, the breadcrumbs laid throughout the whole damn movie that if you're not paying attention, just easily.
Now I'm betting, this will piss John off, that if I'd watched The Prestige, I would have put it above Inception. So that probably would have been my number 5. But it's been so long since I've seen it, so I'm kind of detached from it a little bit.
And your number 2?
Number 2 is Tenet. I think that was number 5 after the second time I saw it. It just keeps moving up for me.
I actually have Tenet at number 2 currently.
Really?
Yes.
Awesome.
It's mainly just because of
technical,
and I feel like there's stuff I'm still missing.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's stuff I'm still missing. There'll probably be stuff I'll still miss forever.
So your number 1 is Interstellar?
Yep. Yep.
McConaughey kills that movie for me.
Really? That sucks, man. I get it though. I have friends that feel the same. I went and saw that 4 or 5 times in IMAX. And then I saw it once in regular theaters. And then I saw actually the re-release like a year or 2 ago at one of the theaters that serves food and alcohol and stuff. So
this is the great thing about how people can see movies differently. So my number one's Inception. And where you saw it as like being unemotional, Cobb is so fucking ridiculously emotional, he fucks everything up.
Yeah.
He self-sabotages because of his emotions, and then having, this ghost of his wife running around that's insane.
True. And yeah, like, I don't have a problem with that so much. Is the concept was really cool and kind of highbrow a little bit, but I felt I should have and I'm not very good with words, but I should have said that the concept felt cold and kind of detached to me as opposed to the movie, because it wasn't really the movie, and it wasn't Cobb, it wasn't Marion Cotillard.
The cast,
it was just kind of
the practical effects, the sound design. Like, I saw an IMAX like full array, like Atmos, and when that horn starts sounding in the city, that like literally like the theater was shaking, and maybe it's just the theater experience resonating, but I watched it again today and I got the same enjoyment I did back then.
Interesting. No, I mean, you're not in the minority, man. You're not. I am. But as I was telling John, I'm kind of a robot, so it's hard for us to capture and express emotions. So we like the more like, cold-hearted spy stuff, apparently. Although I would argue Interstellar is Nolan's most emotional movie.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that crying scene with McConaughey where I turned it off the first time I watched it because I was like, this is bad. Like, so like, if someone's a Nolan fan, what director or what movie would you recommend if they like some of the movies that we listed, but who's a director you might like throw their way?
That's a good question. Well, I mean, one pops in my head immediately, which we already briefly went over, Denis Villeneuve. Oh,
yes.
God. Unbelievable. Like, just, yeah. He is becoming...
He's Ridley Scott.
He is moving up in my director's list, so...
I kind of said it earlier, like, Rian Johnson, one of his earlier movies, Brick, where it's basically Chinatown in a high school.
I need to see that. I have not seen that one yet.
I love that movie, and it's like real early Joseph Gordon-Levitt, where he's the main protagonist, and it's basically trying to solve the murder of the girl who played Claire in Lost. And the kid when he was younger played Elliot in E.T. He's the drug kingpin in the movie. A lot going on in it, but like captivating to watch. And like you start seeing the early Rian Johnson stuff where he's just experimenting and feeling stuff out. Paul Thomas Anderson's another one. Like, most people, I don't think they would go, but as far as like filmmaking, he's like a master.
Yeah, for sure.
He even put out the movie called The Master, but just watch Boogie Nights. Like, if you want to see insanity but shot well, that is a movie for you.
No doubt.
He did Magnolia too, I think, as well.
Did he?
I thought that was him. I might be wrong, but
I enjoyed Magnolia.
It was a good movie. I'm not a huge Tom Cruise fan, but that was very good.
I'm not either, but there are some really good movies that he's done.
So we're past the hour mark, so I wanted to start wrapping this up. I liked having a discussion about film, even though we went way off topic way too much. But I'm going to blame that on the chat. And John.
Yeah, John, thanks a lot.
But thanks for coming on and talking about this movie, because like it's been in my head and it's just easier than us going back and forth on Messenger.
Oh, dude, it's definitely a brain worm for sure. And like, I still have 3 pages of notes that I could have like thrown out there, but I'm like, the world's not ready yet. So.
But really appreciate you coming on and talking this. Maybe if there's another movie that we kind of like really have feelings on the way the way the movies are going right now. Like, who knows when we're actually going to see that.
Sure.
I think the next big movie is Black Widow that's actually going to come out in the theaters. I mean, I'll watch the Snyder Cut because I feel like I have to, just to see like was it worth complaining about for 4 fucking years?
Right.
Or 3 years, or however long it was? Like,
I kind of think someone kind of quoted this on Twitter, and I retweeted it, but I kind of think they're right. Like, if the Wonder Woman 84 backlash is what it is, I think the Justice League Snyder Cut is going to be a crap storm of backlash and Twitter rants, and just because everybody's been so hyped and they want to see it, and it's been
releasing an hour a month.
Yeah,
4 fucking hours long. Like,
although I do think that will help the backlash, and is the fact that you're going to get it separated. But if it was all at once,
it's just gonna be nerd edging. Like, when do we get to Dark Side? When do we get to Dark Side?
Yeah. So, yeah.
Thank you for everybody who tuned in for our film nerd talk. Again, I don't really get to stretch this part of my brain much lately, so it's kind of nice to kind of talk about something that I love and the technical part of cinema, like the people who are really good at it. Like, you can watch, and even if the movie's not fantastic,
right,
where you can lose yourself and like, how did they just do that? Like, what? And I will watch the bonus features.
I still need to do that.
I didn't watch it on this yet, but like on Inception, watching it, I was just like, holy shit. Especially the part where like she's moving the buildings around.
Yep. I've already seen those before.
Yeah.
So that was definitely interesting.
Yes, Oregon, I just trademarked that nerd edging. So thank you everybody for joining us. Carlito, thank you for coming on with me. And it was a pleasure talking with you finally in person, or as close to person. And if you liked it, like, comment, share, subscribe, and tomorrow.
Subscribe to Dan. Don't subscribe to me. I don't do any content.
Tomorrow we have book club with Jen and Gambit, and we're doing All Star Superman. I believe Read Across the Stars is joining us on it. So join us for that. It'll be 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Central, all that good stuff. Take care, everybody. So long, farewell, goodbye, Avita Zay.
Thanks, Dan.